Amaya White. Welcome. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Tell us your school, your year, your major, and your hometown.
Yes, so my school is Middle Tennessee State University. I am a senior majoring in allied health science, and my hometown is Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. So, if you had to say what your career goals are, what would you say?
My career goals are to be a pediatrician with a health focus, specifically in public health. It's something I'm very passionate in because I want to get and be able to help the whole family, not just the child, because everybody is, in fact, your patient when we have a patient of the kid.
Okay. So, Amaya, you're doing something that's very ambitious. You are taking on the goal of becoming a doctor and also being a public health practitioner. Why do you want to do both? And what motivated you to want to do both sides?
So, why I wanted to do both is because through my work as a student health ambassador, I realized the implications of how important public health and social determinants of health are to our community and globally as a community. And I just knew that wanting to help children meant not just helping that child, it means their family, it means their school, it means their lived experience. And you have to be able to help the whole child. You can't just help one. And one of the main reasons that brought me towards this was I traveled a lot as a kid. I moved a lot, and I knew that in different aspects of the world and communities that we live in, there are various different things that can trouble communities and families. And there isn't just one specific thing to target, there's multiple. So, taking that multiple approach versus just a single target is something I want to do versus just seeing patients in and out.
Okay. So if I had to reinterpret that, that means that when you're a physician and someone comes to see you, a child, in the up close part, you want to be able to work on whatever that child came in with and whatever's affecting them, like kind of like in the foreground.
Yes.
But you're also interested in what happens in the background, meaning what was happening in their home, what was happening in their neighborhood, what was happening in their state, their city, their country that may have allowed them to develop that condition. And you feel like you need to have a wrap or a thought process around both to be effective in what you're doing. Would that be correct?
Yes, exactly. For example, if a child comes in with issues like asthma, and we can just give them an inhaler, but to take it a step further, maybe that home needs an air purifier. Maybe we need to look at the route that the child's taking to school to see if they're able to get fresh air. Maybe there needs to be a park or community center nearby to allow access to have a connection with outside, which can also help rate of asthma in children. Those are the type of things I want to think about versus just prescribing a inhaler to a child.
I love the way that you express that and that you've already come to the conclusion now at this point in your journey. That's actually really impressive. So, when you're at Nashville Health as an intern, we teach you these maxims, and there's quite a few of them, but we say them to ourselves as a team. Gretchen says them, Sarah says them, I say them, kind of to make sure that we orient ourselves around when we come to problem solving. These are things that are generally always true that we can rely on, and then we turn around and we teach those things to you. So, what maxims, what Nashville Health maxims are your favorite ones? And then tell me why.
Yeah, so my first favorite in Nashville Health Maxim is that there is a pathway in every problem, specifically a new pathway. That's very important to me because as a allied health science major, science is a big world and trying to figure out where that path is taking you. You're typically going to make a bunch of paths to figure out one small problem. And I think it's very important to have that access of different paths versus just only staying on one path to try to get to an answer. Because a lot of the times you'll need to go to the weeds to figure out your answer. I think that's something very big that naturopath has taught me to look at those paths, to embrace those paths, to go down those different areas to figure out how can we help this problem by bringing in more things and looking in other places.
So, the way you express that, the thing about these maxims that we kind of live and work by is every time someone learns them, they bring a new perspective to it that I hadn't thought about or we hadn't thought about. So, I appreciate that. Are there any others, or is that your top one?
That was my top, but my other favorite is bring calm to confusion, bring planning to problems, and bring intention to issues. This is very big to me as a public leader on my campus. Bringing different intention, thought processes, and calmness is very important as a leader. To go into problems in an exacerbated manner is not always productive. Sometimes you need to take a step back, take a breath, plan your way out, and figure out what is another way we can do this, leading back to the past. Maybe there's another path to be taken. Maybe there's another bridge to be made to figure this issue out or make a new outcome. And bringing that other intention into it. Okay, maybe we have this one problem, but our overall intention might be to focus somewhere else. Having that type of discernment is very important to me. It's something that I bring in both my academic and personal life. And I think it's an amazing maxim that Natural Health is really honed in on being able to calm down, take a second, plan, and then figure out on how to tackle something.
So I love that because that kind of reminds us of something that we just talked about with the greater group, which was don't react, respond. A
Yes.
reaction is an instinct. It's kind of what hits you when you first feel, when you first get new information, you may react to it. A response requires you actually sitting for a minute, thinking about the problem, sitting down and saying, how do I express this in a way that's calm enough to where I can get us to think clearly about what's before us. And as a leader in health or public health, that's golden. So I really appreciate that answer. Any others, or you want to stick with those two?
I think those are my top two.
All right. All right. Good deal. I've always expressed to you since you started the internship, I said, Amaya, when you work with Gretchen or Sarah or just your project in particular, I have no doubt that you're going to be able to do the projects. You're going to be able to technically do the work. It's the reason why you're an intern. You've proven that you can do certain things well, and you've proven that you have the mental capacity and aptitude to do it. But then I ask you, why is it uniquely important for you to bring you to the work, for you to bring your unique gifts to the work, for you to bring your unique creativity to the work, for you to bring a Maya to the work, even if it's a project or a task that we give you? Why do you think, for me, when you all are working with me individually, I hone in so much on Amaya, what's your gifts? What's your creativity? What do you bring to the work that nobody else can?
I think it's very important and why you bring up our own gifts within our work and why you want us to really exemplify them is because that's what we do best, is what we can do, what we can bring to a table. And personally, I'm very good at disseminating information and breaking it down into smaller chunks for everybody else to understand. I'm very big on bringing community together and collective understanding so we can work towards problems and problem solving largely. So I think it's very important. And what Natural Health has want us to do is to take these top concerns within youth and figure out what does that mean, where can we help, and with people that are young in a different generation, what is their perspective? And having someone like me that is very good at disseminating information and taking the large chunks where you're getting lost in the weeds and breaking it down to a clear path, it helps to figure out where that path is, where it's going, and how to problem solve effectively.
So that goes back to the best you is the creative you. The creative you is the most authentic you. The most authentic you is the most unique you, which means the most unique you is going to give us something that everybody else can't get. Like that's very important to bring to whether it's public health or whether it's being a physician. We need that. You need that diversity of background and thought. And I'm glad, and that's my most important thing in working with you all is you all feeling like whatever task we give you, you can bring the creative you to that task. So I appreciate your answer in that regard. So the question that I asked you very early on in your intern tenure was, when you are 75 years old and you're looking back on your life and career, how would you want to describe your accomplishments to someone that's way younger than you in a way that allows them to quickly say, this is what a Maya's life is about? How would you describe that?
I would describe 75-year-old me talking to somebody that's younger about my accomplishments as not only impactful, but meaningful. That at the end of the day, becoming a physician, becoming somebody who's health focused and wants it better for the community, it did something. We saw the change. We didn't just go in and prescribe medication or only see the patient for 15 minutes and then not follow up. We actively helped the community. We were there for different events. We were there for policy. We were there for change. It wasn't just saying that we take the oath and we're going to help people. It's actually helping people in all regards, and that you can do it. Everyone can do it. As small as making a community together with your friends and going out and doing something that you feel is important. Something like that is how you get started. It doesn't always have to be to the maximum of being a physician or being a world leader. It can be just as important as you're the leader of a club the leader of your friends, and you guys went out to help people because you felt driven to it. I think that the biggest thing I would want the next generation to learn from me if I'm when I'm older as a physician is you are able. Everyone is able and you are able. You have a unique gift to you and you just have to figure out what it is and how you can use it.
So I like that. So the other way that I want to ask you that, you talked about those maxims. You said one of them was bringing calm to confusion and intentionality to issues. The other was about finding pathways in problems. Do you think you would express that to this young person that you're talking about your life as key things that they need to learn in order to accomplish a life where they can accomplish their goals as well?
Absolutely. Throughout life, and especially as a college student, and specifically a college student majoring in science, finding new pathways is crucial. There is no way you're getting through organic chemistry without finding out a couple pathways or navigating microbiology or biochem. You definitely have to find those new pathways. And it also is very important to have a calm mindset, have a growth mindset, and take a breath and think, what are the new things that I can do? What are the other things I can do? And bring attention to it because while there's always room for improvement for learning, there's also time for learning within yourself. Maybe there's a new way to do this. Maybe there's a new way I have to do this that I've never done before. That's something that's very big that I think young people can learn from is that the one way you learn isn't the way you're going to learn for everything. There's always a new path and a new way that will show you a completely new version of what you thought was something that was stagnant.
I love that answer. And it's an answer that you can rely on almost in anything that you do going forward. So to wrap this up, obviously doing an internship at Nashville Health, your expectations that you're going to learn something from Nashville Health, from the team, from me. What do you think I am learning from you?
I think what you're learning from me is how the gifts that I've displayed are working in real time. How from our projects, from surveying our community, and the work we've already done, you're seeing from me that these gifts and the path that I'm on is working. It is the new path within the weeds. It is bringing calm, bringing intention, and being dedicated to a new goal and finding a new path and that within those gifts and within the trials and tribulations of life that it is working and that with my other interns as well that the gifts that we have are putting us on a path towards greatness.
I sincerely believe that. And this question I'm asking, and I hadn't really asked you this before, so I'm just going to get your creative thought about it. What do you think we can learn from your generation that we need to pay attention to?
What I think that you could learn from my generation is that we are just as steadfast as the other generations. We're just in a new light where we have the rise of technology at its quickest form. We have all the information at our fingertips. And it feels like we've learned from all the generations before us, but we still feel stagnant. I think that is one of the biggest challenges with my generation is that we see all the issues before us, but we don't know how to navigate them or we know that all of these five top concerns with youth are all important to us, but it's hard to navigate each one if there is a barrier within them. I specifically focused on economic instability and cost of living, and it's hard to combat that when there aren't as many access to homes or apartments in areas where people are expected to move to, or if there is a high cost of debt from school and going to school when we didn't expect that when we first got into school. I think a lot of the issue with our generation is that we want so much like every other generation, but we have a lot of access and we don't know how to use it.
Amaya, that is an incredible insight that you just shared because it does basically situate. You said y'all are just as steadfast as other generations, and I think that's completely true. And in some ways, because the world is changing so fast, and just the way you expressed that was really spot on. There actually you may have to be more steadfast. So the fact that we need to know that you all are developing a different level of grit to make sure that you get through this moment, but you all are doing it with a steadfast mindset. I do think that's something that our generations and other generations need to make sure that we keep in mind about what y'all are going through, about what y'all are up against. But I have no doubt that y'all will solve and move forward from. Ahmad, it's been a great time spending with you. Thank you for being an intern in Nashville Health this summer, and I'm glad that we'll be working together for a few more weeks.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Yancy.
Thank you, Ahmad.